Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. In today's video, I get to share with you guys two really cool things. First of which is a new maker, Mark Varga, or relatively new maker. And the second, this is the first time I've had the opportunity to experience a knife that the handles are made completely out of Damascus, which is this very exotic material here in front of us. So before starting to film, I did wipe the knife down with Windex to really bring out the full colors. If you guys aren't familiar with this material, as I touch it and get my oils on it, it is going to dull up a bit. So I did want to give you guys a look at it before I get my dirty fingers all over it in its full glory here. So really beautiful material, of course. And as you can see, the entire lock side and pocket clip are made of this Damascus material, as well as the back spacer with that really cool kind of copper sandwich there. So obviously pretty exotic materials, really beautiful knife here. So we'll go through the specs, overall impressions, and details. Let me give you a little bit of background about Mark Varga. So relatively new maker, been making knives I think for about a year and a half or so. He used to work in the corporate finance world. After 9/11, he became a police officer, and he now works as a senior firearms instructor for the Department of Homeland Security. So, he definitely works now in a career that, a knife, whether, crazy built like this or otherwise, would offer utility and benefit to those types of roles. So, yeah. So this is the Vesper by Mark Varga. And this one is on loan from raw.1981 on Instagram, Ryan there, so thanks for letting me check this one out. But again, first time I've handled in person a full Damascus build such as this, and he is a relatively new maker, still relatively under the radar, not too many followers, and we'll talk about him and about his books and everything else. So anyways, let's go through the specs. I'm now going to get my kind of nasty, dirty hands all over this beautiful knife, so one last up-close look. Absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So, let's open it up. And let's go over the specs. So we're looking at a blade length of just about 4 inches. Obviously with the finger choil here, the cutting edge is less, maybe about 3.6 or so. Handle length is 5 inches of that beautiful material there. It does weigh in at 5.95 ounces, with Damascus, which is a heavier material. And the thickness in the pocket is just about 0.45 inches. So it does have a Steve Kelly pivot in titanium. So a beautiful pivot. A ceramic detent, GTC bearings, and a carbidized lock face, so which is why it doesn't have any stick there. Centering is perfect. Action, really nice, as you guys can see. Really smooth. Owner said this one isn't quite broken in all the way yet, but it's definitely buttery smooth. Really, really nice. So yeah. Alright, so I think those are the specs for the most part. Overall impressions, really, really impressed with the knife. Obviously, in terms of a practical carry, I couldn't justify carrying something this beautiful. If Ryan does, or if someone buys a knife like this with the intent to carry, kudos to them. Probably have balls the size of coconuts, but it's just such a beautiful piece that it's been really nice to experience, but it has not left the house in my care. I did pocket it, pocket clip works well. Anyways, fit, finish, action, everything is really, really nice, and making a knife completely out of Damascus really is a milestone for most makers. I think many would agree on that. And this was, when it started the build, it was his 8th knife, but by the time he finished, it was technically his 13th or 11th knife. That's what it was. So took him a little while to do it. He did have to redo the Damascus handles, kind of in his in this process here. But anyways, in terms of the overall impressions, Really nice fit and finish. Aside from the crazy exotic materials, the blade steel is S110V, which is an absolute bear to work with. So I'm impressed with the build quality. I talked to Mark for about 45 minutes. Great conversation. Seems like a really good guy. So cool new maker to follow and keep your eye on. There are a lot of really good makers popping up these days, and I think people are hungry or interested in new makers who are going to treat them right, maybe bring out original designs. There's a lot of things going on, but there's definitely a lot of support for new makers. So I give him a follow. I'll put links to his Instagram in the description box below, as well as to the owner's, Ryan's there. So all right, that's it for the specs, the overall impressions. Let's talk a little bit more about this build here, and we'll talk a little bit more about Mark Varga as well. So, as I mentioned, fairly new. He's only made about 13 knives to date, and his books are currently closed. When he first posted pictures on Instagram that he made a knife, he had so much interest that he actually had to close his books and had a 1-year wait. When that first knife went up. So, he said it was pretty stressful experience knowing that you have so many people waiting for the work, and so now it's going to be more of it will be available as he makes it. The good news is that he has kind of a build of 12 knives in the works right now. He's working on a batch. And once those are done, he's going to move on to a new model, which will likely be a smaller Warncliffe style. But just about everything on this knife is hand done. Obviously, he uses the Stephen Kelly pivot because pivots are a tremendous amount of work to do, and the GTC bearings, but everything else on the knife has been done by hand. He does water jet now to save a little bit on time, but before that, all done with a bandsaw there. And a mill that he picked up on Craigslist, or a belt sander that he picked up on Craigslist. So, handmade knives, pretty cool. So what happened with this particular build is Ryan got on Mr. Varga's books here, and obviously he was down for a Vesper, which this model is. And what Mark said was happened is that Ryan kept bothering him. He said, "Hey, let's do full Timascus. Let's do like S110V." And Mark was like, no, that's a lot of work, a lot of expensive materials. And Ryan just kept pestering him to do it. And so Mark finally gave in. And his first go around with Timascus, he messed up the scales. And so he had to buy even more. And the materials alone on this knife are tremendously expensive. The Timascus alone was, like more than $450. S110V is a fairly expensive steel to purchase. And then working with it, you will go through a ton of belts. It's such a hard steel that Mark has pretty much sworn off S110V from this point. So in terms of what he makes in the future, I think this will be a truly unique build. And then he went ahead and he did a hand rub satin finish on this S110V. So a lot of work. He's not going to do it again. But really cool. So his prices start about $450 and go up from there. Obviously, a build of this caliber has quite a bit more in materials and time and so forth. But those are kind of his entry-level prices. He said the norm is about $450 to $550. So again, no books. You won't be able to get on his books, but you can keep an eye on his Instagram. And the knife shows that he typically attends are the East Coast Custom Knife Show. He missed this last one, some family obligations, but that's where he typically wants to be. So, yeah. So flipping action again. Quite nice. Now this hole here on the top is usable. You can roll it out or even get a middle finger flick out of it. So lock up right about 50% there. Now my only feedback to him was to maybe also do a little bit of chamfering here on the show side for a larger thumb hole here to get in and disengage it. And he actually let me know that that's something he's incorporated on the two models after this one. So it's a change he already made, based on feedback and customer experience. So yeah, there's that pocket clip, and then the copper backspace. A really nice touch against the blue, really cool. So edges are nicely chamfered, no hot spots on this thing. Feels good in the hand, definitely comfortable. So yeah, really cool knife. Anyways, most of his knives are more of a user finish, you know, orange peel, eggshell, and stonewash blades. And again, those ones come in for maybe the $400 to $500 range. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Again, I think that the quality that I'm seeing here is definitely good enough to say, you know, I think you'd be happy with his work, someone to follow. I would love to, you know, check out one of his normal builds. But I mean, if he can do this good of a job with Damascus, which again is really a milestone for custom makers, I think the skill level is there, and it'll continue to get better. So yeah, really neat. Anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed checking this out with me. Again, it's not the most this is not a practical knife to carry in the slightest, but the experience and being able to handle it and look at it has really been a treat for me. Something that you know, that I'll certainly cherish, because I don't think I'd ever buy a full Damascus knife. It's just it scares me. It's that fantastic. So all right, guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. Podcast is up and running, Modern Neanderthal Podcast, and yeah, more videos to come, more custom knives, more production knives, and I need to get on the ball here. So thanks again. Take care.